Hi, my name is Stacy McLaren.
I'm John Beeson.
And this is God in the Gray in the Car. This is a place where we have conversations about spirituality, religion, difficult areas of life, all of those spaces that seem gray, but we find God in there. We consider this a conversation as if we pulled up and said, hey, hop in, let's go have a car ride and a talk. And we do mean that. We encourage you to leave your questions and comments below, and we will address those as we see them. We are real people who work at a church in Tucson, Arizona. We are at New Life Bible Fellowship, and we are so glad that you joined us today. So, have you ever received a bad apology?
Ooh, yes, yes, I can think of some bad
I
apologies.
can too. Mine always are like, you know it's going to be bad when it's, I'm sorry, but, okay. You would think at this point in society and culture and life in general, we'd be better at apologies.
I'm sorry that you.
Yeah. I'm sorry if you were hurt.
Yes. Oh man. Yep. Yeah, it's true, right? Like we can all feel that pain of a bad apology. Like you watch the politician kind of weasel his way through an apology. You're like, oh, come on. No one believes you, buddy. But here's the reality. Actually, like, there's real things at play in blocking healthy apologies. And we just have to name them for what they are, right? Like I'll name the two monsters that attack our apologies. The first ones are pride. I mean, goodness, it is hard to apologize because you are lowering yourself before the other person. Emotionally, spiritually, you are humbling yourself before them. And that can just be so difficult to us, especially when we have the but what about little meter knocking around in our head. But what about all these times they've done this to me, right? And so the pride is such a massive block. And the second one is more neutral, but it's just our emotions. Our emotions can so derail our spiritual aim in an apology, right? And so we get spun out. We're afraid. We're fearful. We're angry. We're ashamed. All of those emotions get played in, and they can just muddy up, even when our intention is to navigate an apology. And so, really, it is a miracle. I actually mean that. It's a miracle anytime anyone apologizes in a genuine way. I think that every time I see that, right? Every time I'm in my office and I see someone apologize in a meaningful and a genuine way, I just think that's the work of God on this earth, because there's nothing within me that naturally will ever apologize. Nothing within me. But it is a profound thing when we can move away, we can push away the pride, we can navigate through those emotions, and we can genuinely apologize.
Yeah. I think when we look at it, that when we apologize, it's actually a very selfless act. Now, I know we just talked about pride, but it's a selfless act, because when you think about it, when you've been wronged and somebody has recognized that and they come to you, how much more easy is it for you to forgive when someone actually comes to you and says, you know what, I know I hurt you and I am so sorry. Like, there is an act of selflessness when we know we've done something and we go, before forgiveness is ever asked for, we go to apologize.
Yeah.
We grow in humility when we do that. And so you think that that's just pretty basic, right? We're just going to grow in humility. But the fact of the matter is that it actually, when we step into apologizing well, it improves our mental health. And by default, that improves our physical health. There's something about apologizing that lifts a weight off of you.
Yeah.
And that's just so important to recognize. And I think when we get in that habit, when we start learning ourselves and our sin patterns and how we've hurt people, I think we start to recognize when we hurt people, and we're almost drawn to it. It's almost a I don't want to say a compulsion, but there's an instant conviction of, oh, something's not right. You know, it's like my spidey senses are going off, something's not right, I need to make it right.
Yeah.
So we talk about this book a lot. It's Ken Sande is the author, and it's called The Peacemaker. And in The Peacemaker, he has the 7 A's that kind of surround apologizing, the 7 A's of apologizing. So we're going to kind of walk through that. And the first A is addressing everybody who's involved. So perfect example would be a family setting. Husband and wife are having an argument. It's happening in front of the kids. Let's say they move to a different room. Mom and dad end up making up, asking for forgiveness, apologizing. It's still their responsibility to go and apologize and ask for forgiveness from those kids.
Yeah.
Especially in a family situation, because those kids need to understand what it looks like to have healthy conflict resolution so that they can take that into their future relationships. And again, so A number 1, address all of the parties that are involved.
Yeah, I mean, that it impacts the whole environment of that house. You can think about that in a workplace, right? You might say, you might gossip in a work environment. Your apology is not just to the person that you gossiped about. It's also to those you gossip to. Like it's the entirety of it, right? So address everyone involved. Number 2, avoid if, but, and maybe. I mean, this is one, you started with this, right? It's so wild because we can smell it like that when that apology is coming toward us, but it just leaks out. And it's because for so many of us, there's such a deep longing to be understood. We want to explain the circumstances so that you understand, well, why I would be led to that. We're trying to create the context to minimize the sin. And that's the exact opposite way that you have to go when you confess. When you confess, you maximize. You fully realize the breadth of that sin with no defense. You don't need, I'm sorry, if you were offended. You're having the conversation because they were offended. So there's no if, right? I'm sorry I offended you. I'm sorry I hurt you, right? There's no I'm sorry but, because as soon as we say but, we're about to tie in their sin. And their sin is their sin. And you can navigate that separately, but while you're dealing with your sin, you deal with your sin. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry that I was rude and sarcastic to you. Not I'm sorry, but you were also you were rude to me first, right? Or you just came in with a bad attitude, right? The apology is done, all right? So avoid if, but, and maybe. Next, admit specifically. Admit specifically. This is a huge one in ongoing relationships that I deal with. In the context of a counseling situation where you have ongoing patterns, so often, I'm so sorry that I've been neglectful to you. Well, okay, that's a good start, but let's get to some of the core woundings. Listen, and if you don't know what those are, this is a perfect place in your apology to pause, right? So you might say, I'm so sorry that I was so deeply neglectful. I have been swamped at work. I've been working far too many hours. My thoughts, the way that I've been thinking and processing life has been obsessed about work, and for the last 2 weeks, you have totally been on the back burner, and I'm so sorry for that. And now here's the kicker. And could you share with me any other way, or how have I missed you in that, right? And so you're opening the floodgates for more, so you can actually hear that person's heart. And you might have missed, right? You might have said a hurt. You might have even said something that actually wasn't really at the root issue, hurting them. But you're gonna then own that and admit specifically. And then next, you're gonna acknowledge the hurt. So you're gonna address everyone involved. You're gonna avoid if, but, and maybe. You're going to admit specifically, and you're gonna acknowledge the hurt. Once you've created that space for them, you're going to listen to them, and then you're going to echo back to them what you've heard them say. I just heard you say that what really hurt you the most was that I wasn't there when I said I would be for dinner. I heard you say what hurt you the most is that I wasn't there to help put the kids down, and that is exhausting for you, and you felt so alone. And I'm so sorry. You want to speak back to them. I know that that can feel so awkward. It's hard in a counseling situation to get people to do that, because they're like, well, everyone just heard what they said. Yeah, but they need to know that you know it. They need to know that you understand what it is. And actually, this is a counterintuitive piece here. The less creative you are here, the better. The more you speak it back almost verbatim to them, the more actually heard they will feel. It's a strange little irony. I watch it again and again in counseling, where people then feel like, well, I don't want to just say what they said, so I'm gonna kind of ad-lib here. And actually, the more you ad-lib, the more trouble you get in, because the more you're off from what they said. They have expressed what their hurt is. Now it's your opportunity to acknowledge the hurt.
Yeah. So that was, where are we at? 4. We're on
Number 5.
Number 5.
Yep.
Number 5 is going to be accept the consequences. So you've acknowledged the hurt. You've brought this to them. They've brought their hurts to you as well. Accept the consequences. And those could be varied, right? If you have had a problem with porn and you've confessed that and you've asked, you've said you're sorry, there's going to be consequences to that, right? You're going to have to have some software on your computer, have some software on your phone. There's also going to be broken trust, and that's not giving permission to hold against you something, but there is broken trust. Your spouse is going to give pause when something happens that happened before, like that would lead to this, and that doesn't mean to hold offenses against you. It just means that you're going to have to rebuild trust. So there's consequences that we have to accept. Number 6 is going to be alter your behavior.
Yeah.
So again, let's say it's a pornography issue, and you know that when you are in a certain place, if you are going to travel or go to a certain city, and that is where the issues are happening, alter your behavior. Yeah. Maybe you're going to need to talk to your boss and say, I can't travel for a little while. Or let's say you have an issue with spending, or gambling. If you have a problem with spending, like, you're going to need to alter your consequences or your behavior. You don't go shopping by yourself. Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't go shopping at all. And maybe for a time you actually say to someone, if you're single, someone that will hold you accountable. If you're married, your spouse, here's my debit card.
Yeah.
I need you to hold this for a while.
Change the Amazon password.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even that. So let's say you're addicted to your phone, your games, and that's causing friction in your relationship. Man, you set a password and only your spouse or your accountability partner knows, and that's that.
Yeah.
Period. And if that means it's only 5 minutes, it's only 5 minutes, and that's all you can do about it. So alter your behavior. And then the last one is ask for forgiveness. And that's huge. I think so often we have tied I'm sorry meaning, well, that means that I asked for forgiveness. No. Asking for forgiveness actually means using those words, will you please forgive me? I did this, I'm sorry, will you forgive me? There is an action in that. And we cannot presume that forgiveness has been given if we have never asked the question of that person.
Yeah, it's actually an exchange, right? We talked about this last time with the parable of the unforgiving servant. Forgiveness is an exchange. And if you don't allow that exchange to happen, if it's just an I'm sorry doesn't elicit a response, or it elicits an odd response, like it's okay when it's not okay. The exchange is so important in that. Now let me just talk about a few dangers. So that we just walked through the 7 A's of forgiveness, and we hope those are helpful. Let me talk about some of the dangers that can get involved when we try to apologize. Let me talk about one that happens all the time. I kind of briefly mentioned it earlier. One of the things is, frequently in any relationship, there's going to be sin with both parties against each other. And I would just urge you not to try to navigate both parties at once, right? And so here's the reality. If you're in that place where you're ready to repent, you need to be ready to repent regardless of whether or not the other person's willing to own their piece of it. And so you're going to walk into that conversation with full readiness to just own all of your part without them offering their part. It gets really entangled and really messy in apology if both parties are dancing and like, I'm going to forgive this percent, and then you're going to forgive this percent, and I'm going to forget this percent more, and we're going to go back and forth until at that point we'll forgive 100. We'll apologize for 100%. No. You come with a full readiness to apologize for 100% of yours without expectation that other party is ready to ask for forgiveness for their piece. And this is counterintuitive again. They might actually be willing and ready to apologize to you in the middle of yours, and that's a sweet thing. And I would just say, hey, that's so meaningful to me that you're willing to do that. But can we complete this? Because I don't want to shortchange my apology to you here. Mm-hmm. So let's just navigate mine first, right? And so I would encourage you to just do one at a time, one party at a time. Second, there's layers in any apology. And what's hard in apologizing is that you may not even know that there's layers that the other person has had to navigate and hurt that you had no idea were there. Or maybe there was layers in your own heart in terms of the intention that you don't even know it's there until that. And so you have to be willing to step into an apology without the idea that, okay, I'm willing to apologize for this and not an ounce more, right? No, you're gonna step into that apology willing to apologize for whatever the Lord leads, right? And the reality is you may have thought, oh, I just caused this much harm, and all of a sudden you realize it's a bucket's full over here, and you need to be willing to step into that bucket. You may have thought, oh, I don't think my intentions were that, and all of a sudden in the course of the conversation you realize, oh goodness, there was more there in me. And so recognize that there may well be those layers. And finally, we talked about this up front, are those emotions. Oh my goodness. Those emotions can be so hard, right? You step into an apology, it takes a tremendous amount of courage, of humility to step into it, and that other person is harsh and shut down and unforgiving. And what's our tendency at that point? Well, wait a second, right? So we get angry, we get defensive. It's like you start off right. Don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. You are apologizing first and foremost as an act to God in your relationship with God. And so step into that apologizing, receiving and walking through what He has for you in that.
Oh, so good. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If you haven't already listened to the 2 previous episodes on reconciliation and forgiveness, we encourage you to go back and do so. And if there's a relationship in your life that you need to walk through apology or forgiveness, we just pray that you find a way to do that, to embrace a moment of humility and to step forth and ask for forgiveness. Apologize for what you need to apologize for. Work to bring reconciliation in the areas that need to have reconciliation. We are so glad that you joined us. We encourage you to hit that like and subscribe button for future episodes and drop any questions or comments down below. Once again, thank you.